is helpful. And so let's see if I can provide a little help here. So my first problem with hell is, where the hell is it, right? Where is it? Where is hell? Where exactly is this place? Much like heaven, it's been moving since I was a kid, right? Like heaven was in the sky at one point, and then it wasn't anymore. Like, well, at one point, hell was in the earth. Like literally, there were stories when I was a kid that preachers would tell, and again, it's just the disingenuousness of the church, that preachers would tell, and they would tell these stories as if they were eyewitnesses, that they were somewhere and somebody was digging a hole and had dug deep enough to hear people screaming from hell, and they could hear, oh my goodness, right? Okay, well, we've dug pretty deep now, and we've verified that, okay, that's hell is not there. It's not there. And just quite frankly, logistically, hell being inside the earth would be a nightmare. That would logistically be almost the same thing as if nobody ever died. If everybody who had ever been born was still alive on the planet, how much sense would that make? Well, when you're believing that everybody who ever lived is likely within the planet, it just gets even less logistical, you know. So this is a problem. Less logical. So where is it? It keeps moving. And so now once you start moving stuff, I'm not going to forget that it moved. And so this is why hell, even as a Christian, it wasn't a concern for me. Because the one thing that I was sure about is that no one who was talking about it knew what the hell they were talking about. You know, no one who said anything about hell had actually ever been there, right? And so that was, yeah. So, you know, where is it? You know, like where exactly is this hell? And the moment you start moving it and you move it further and further out, and every time we can look where you say it is, then all of a sudden you move it again. That's like the biggest red flag in the world, right? So that was for me. That may not be a red flag for you, but hell moving was problematic for me. It was just as problematic for me as heaven moving. It was just as problematic for me as God being offended by the Tower of Babel, so much so that he destroyed it, but having no problems with rockets and planes. It makes no sense. All right. So the next one is not just where is hell, but how is this actually relevant? Like literally, how is this actually relevant? Okay, so this is how I wrestle with this. A God who is incapable of maintaining justice in this world will likely be just as incompetent in the next world. All right, so the whole existence, the whole ideology of the existence of a hell is that God has failed, that he created something that is deserving of hell. Whether you're talking about humanity or the angels, either way, he's the creator. So when people try to scapegoat this and say, oh no, well, God is not, he's not doing this. He actually created hell for the angels, for the fallen angels. So am I not supposed to feel sympathy for the fallen angels? I'm supposed to feel better because it was for them and not for me. That is a huge yikes. It's a flag on the play, man. So no, if this guy could not maintain, if this dude could not maintain, could not manage his creation on this side, I highly doubt that this guy is any more competent in the afterlife. As a matter of fact, I'm like, if this hell even was in this reality, it would likely be out of business due to piss poor management. All right. So like, why would you even trust this God with it? He couldn't even get earth right. Why would you trust him? As a matter of fact, the existence of hell means he couldn't get heaven right. Hello, he created the angels for heaven. There is a war in heaven. As a matter of fact, this whole biblical theology basically precludes that the only reason there is war on earth is because there was war in heaven. This is incompetence followed upon incompetence followed by even more incompetence. Excuse me for my animation here, but it's a lot to take in. So, yeah, I mean, why would you trust this God with the hell? He couldn't get heaven right. He couldn't get earth right. And you're thinking, of all of these things, he definitely got hell right. Like, no, hell is closed, okay? Hell is closed and all the devils are here. That is actually a quote. Well, paraphrase of quote. Hell is empty, right? So relevance. Another issue with how is this relevant is no one actually has any credibility on this subject. So whose word are you taking on this? Like, if there's no one credible to speak to this, how are you actually attaching yourself to this? Well, set yourself free, beloved. Set yourself free. No one has ever been there. There are no experts on hell. All right. Since all bodies and organs are left behind, the idea of pain is completely irrelevant in the afterlife, making the idea of eternal torment a non-starter without any credible sources. And as stated earlier, there's absolutely no one with any credibility on the subject of hell. It is purely speculative fiction. There's not enough sense in the idea. There's not enough sense in the idea of hell for it to be a relevant concern to anybody. And if it is a relevant concern for you, I suggest that you seek out non-superstitious community to help you reground you, to help reground you in the beauty of reality and the myriad of opportunity waiting for your contribution, because you do not have to be afraid of hell, right? So, and maybe this next point will kind of help you. So it's, where is it? How is it relevant? How is it different? Like literally, how is this Christian hell fundamentally different from any other culture's view of punishment or retribution or accountability in the afterlife? All right? We seem pretty sure that the afterlife of other cultures are defunct based on the scientific evidence. It seems that the only thing preserving our Christian hell from the same fate as the Egyptian Duat or the Greco-Roman Tartarus is our own superstitious bias. I'm not afraid of hell for the same reason I'm not afraid of Davy Jones' locker. I've outgrown a susceptibility to unsubstantiated fear. A fear of hell is unsubstantiated. You've never seen it. You've never smelt it. You've never heard the screams from it. You've never met anybody who's been there and been back. So it is unsubstantiated fears are the hardest fears to help people overcome because those fears are not rooted in any reason. You know, so I don't know if you've ever. And then here's my last point, and perhaps this one is the most important. Even if it did exist, right? If there was a place that existed where humans were being eternally punished for temporal crime, against the backdrop of eternity, that in itself is unconscionable. It is an unconscionable crime against humanity that we should not stand for. If there's a place where the souls of women, slaves, and children who spoke out against the heresy of superstition during their day just simply by living their truth, if there's a place where they are being punished eternally, it should be our human obligation to set those captives free. Those are my thoughts on hell. That's why I find hell problematic. And I hope I've said something that for some of you who are still struggling with this fear, I hope I've said something that helps to dislodge that unsubstantiated fear. All right, now you tell me, was I wrong or was I right?